This meeting is being recorded.
Hello, I'm Karen Harrison. Welcome to Reiki Call for January 2023. I am excited to connect with you here. And this podcast will be available in all your favorite podcast places on iTunes and Google Play and Spotify, and on my YouTube channel at Karen Harrison Reiki, and also on my website at karenharrison.net. So welcome everyone. Big hugs to you all. Big hugs. So let's just start with a little bit of Gasho and grounding. So Gasho is simply two hands coming together, thumb pointed into your heart chakra. So if you have Reiki, activate your Reiki energy. And take a deep breath. Inhale Reiki energy through your hands. Bring it on into your body. And exhale. Inhale Reiki energy. Exhale, send Reiki energy out through every cell in your body. Inhale Reiki. Exhale, sending it out in all directions, all through your body. Continue that for 3 more breaths. Okay, and you can put your hands down now and breathe normally. So tonight I'm going to be answering your questions, but I wanted to start with a little PowerPoint that I created today of pictures from my visit to Mrs. Takata's clinic in Hilo, Hawaii on the Big Island. I went to a Reiki retreat sponsored by William Rand of the International Center for Reiki Training that he has for all of our licensed teachers. And I just returned a couple of days ago. So we had a lot of fun getting to go to Mrs. Takata's clinic. Our colleague and friend Joan Mate, who lives on the Big Island in Waikoloa Village, arranged it for us. So I'm going to share the screen and share my PowerPoint that I created for you. So, and I just invite you, if you haven't already, to mute yourself, unless you have a question, and then feel free to unmute. So here I am in front of Mrs. Takata's original clinic in Hilo on the Big Island of Hawaii. It's kind of in a busy area now. It was in a plantation style home that had to do with harvesting sugarcane back in the 1940s. Okay, I thought maybe I would just review a little bit of history of Mrs. Takata. She was born in 1900 in Kauai, died in 1980. Her parents were Japanese immigrants. Her father worked in the sugarcane fields. She was a widow with 2 children. Her sister died, and she traveled to Japan to deliver the news to her parents who had relocated there. By this time, she had multiple health conditions: tumor, gallstones, appendicitis, and asthma. And she decided she didn't really want surgery. So she asked if there was another way. And they sent her to Dr. Hayashi's clinic. She received Reiki daily and was healed in 4 months of all of those conditions. Then she stayed on at Dr. Hayashi's clinic and received her first degree Reiki in 1936. She continued to work with him for a year, and she also received Okuden, or second degree, and part of Shinpiden, or Reiki Master. Then she returned to Hawaii in 1937. Then Hayashi and his daughter came in 37 to establish Reiki there, and she received Shinpiden, which is the Japanese name for Reiki Master, in February 1938. Shinpiden also means mystery teaching, so I think that's pretty cool. So Mrs. Takata began training Reiki masters in 1970 and trained 22. She had a rule-oriented training that she thought would be more appealing to Westerners. It was a linear style as opposed to the Japanese intuitive style, where they would just let their hands be guided. She standardized Reiki treatments, making them all the same, and created a foundation treatment with 8 hand positions. She also simplified the Reiki system by taking out the Japanese Reiki techniques. Additionally, in order to make sure that people valued the Reiki Master training, she charged very high rates, including $10,000 for master training. However, because she brought Reiki from Japan to the West in 1937, that allowed it to spread since Japan was closed. U.S. had come in and told the Japanese that they couldn't practice their traditional healing methods unless they got licensed. So this technique to remember the Reiki Master's name's Barnyard Reiki. Well, we won't go over that today. That also covers how to remember Dr. Sui's name, Dr. Hayashi's name. Anyway, that's just my fun little thing from class. Hey, do y'all have any questions so far? Okay. Well, her Reiki clinic is now the home of Klein Natural Health and Wellness Center, where they offer naturopathic medicine, chiropractic, and massage. So here's a picture again of the front of the house. You can see the beautiful mountains in the background. And her Reiki shrine is on the second floor of the house. So the first floor is the entry, and then some treatment rooms, and the second floor has more of the treatment rooms. So this is in the hallway, and you see her name, H. Takata, down here on the bottom. And it says Hawaii Health Studio, but underneath that, you can see it did say Reiki. And then this is some more information about Reiki. We've got the Reiki ideals here, a picture of her, a Reiki crystal grid from the International Center for Reiki Training. The first couple of manuals that William Lee Rand wrote, and some articles from the Reiki News magazine that the International Center for Reiki Training puts out. And here I zoomed in on the picture of Mrs. Hawayo Takata. And here you can see there is an ad from March 3, 1941. Reiki treatments, massage, cabinet baths. Mrs. H. Takata, 2070 Kilauea Avenue, Waiakea Homesteads. Okay, so here's the information on the sign. So Dr. Klein purchased this home in 1986 to convert it into a chiropractic center. The sign was found in the basement. It has 2 layers. The superficial sign says Hawaii Health Studio, steam baths, Swedish massage, nerve gland shortwave treatments. So we think that that was another name, perhaps for distance Reiki, that she gave, and H. Takata. And beneath that was an older version of a sign that says Reiki massage, Swedish massage, cabinet bath, and then H. Takata. We are proud of the tradition of healing energy and touch begun here by Mrs. Takata. It's a privilege to occupy this historic building. So we think that she took off the name Reiki because at the time she started, we were at war with Japan and things Japanese were not very popular. Okay, so here is some more information about Mrs. Takata. It says, originally known as the Usui system of natural healing, developed by Dr. Mikao Usui in Kyoto, Japan. And sorry, the light is reflecting off of it. Oh, in the early part of the 20th century. Dr. Usui passed his skills on to Dr. Chirio Hayashi, who opened a clinic in Tokyo. In 1935, Mrs. Takata came from Hawaii to seek care at that clinic for multiple ailments. After being healed herself, she studied and practiced and finally became a Reiki master. Returning to Hawaii in 1939, she purchased this house and developed it into Hawaii's first Reiki center, the only such center outside of Japan. Following the passing of Dr. Hayashi in 1940, she was chosen to succeed him as the third Reiki Grand Master. Teaching of Reiki in Japan was disrupted by World War II, but Mrs. Takata returned to Hilo and spent 10 years providing healing and teaching Reiki. So the information about the third Reiki Grand Master, that's a conflicting history. As far as we know, there was no Grand Master designated. There's just, Reiki Masters. So Dr. Usui had the society that he developed called the Usui Reiki Ryoho Gakkai. So I'm not sure where they got this information, but it's told in some Reiki lineages, but I don't know that that is accurate. Anyway, Hawaii Takata later moved to Honolulu, where she taught for another 30 years. At the time of her death in 1980, she had trained 22 Reiki masters. These individuals and those later trained by them have since spread the teachings of Reiki worldwide. And here is a picture of one of the treatment rooms. So most of the rooms looked somewhat similar. Pretty cool to see a Reiki table there. Then I also wanted to show you the side view of her house, so you can kind of get an idea what it looked like, and a view of the front where, a car could drive through and drop someone off. And then a closer up version going into the front door. And there I am standing in front of the building. Okay, and the back of the building that has a nice little handicap accessible ramp. And then these are some beautiful flowers that I can't pronounce the name of. From her, the bushes along the back. And there I am. Thank you. So I was excited to share that with you. Now, our group also did a Facebook Live video, and we posted that on the International Center for Reiki Training page. So do any of you follow the International Center? Yeah, some of you do. Well, that is very worthwhile. And let's see here. So, oops, just a second. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is, I wanted to share with you this video where we sent Reiki, because the energy from the video I thought was really amazing. I invited Mrs. Takata to come in and send Reiki to you all herself. So I want to just play this for you. It's just 3 minutes. So allow yourself to receive some Reiki. Coming to you from the original clinic that Mrs. Takata had. And okay, I just remembered I probably didn't click the right. I'm supposed to click share sound and optimize for video clip. Okay. There we go. Keep going. In Hilo, Hawaii. And with me are my beautiful Reiki sisters from the ICRT. We have Lauren Purcell and Pamela LeBlanc and Jules Davis and Joan Mate. And we want to send you a beautiful blast of Reiki energy, and we just invite Mrs. Takata. Well, I don't know about you all, but I was really able to feel Mrs. Takata's presence. What about the rest of you?
Definitely, she is here. Very gentle spirit.
I felt very amazing, grounded Reiki energy. What did you all feel?
Definitely strong, powerful woman presence.
Wow, that was amazing. What did you notice, Joan?
I felt her sweetness.
Wow.
She feels happy that we're here.
Yes, happy and honored and
Respected.
yeah, so thank you, Mrs. Takata. We are grateful to you and your gift of Reiki, and we just send that Reiki blessing out to bless everyone all around the world. Thank you and aloha.
Aloha.
Coming to you from the original clinic that Mrs. Takata had in Hilo, Hawaii. Just a second. With me are my beautiful technical issues there, playing that again. Okay. So now I'm just gonna turn off the things that I had here for sharing the video. Okay, well, did you all feel any energy coming from the clip? Okay, all right, I hope you did. the noise was kind of distracting, but you know, it's on a busy street in Hilo, and so a lot of cars going by. So Dolores, well, if you want to go visit, all you need to do is call the Klein Natural and ask for an appointment time, you know, when it would be convenient for you to go visit. It'll only take you maybe, you know, 15 minutes in there. So it won't take very long.
Thank you.
Yeah, that'd be fun. So, or if any of, you know, the rest of you listeners want to visit, you know, you just need to call and make an appointment rather than drop in. Okay, well, now we're going to move into the questions that you all had. So let's see, Cindy, you'd had a question about why take animal Reiki and is it necessary? Did I get that right?
Well, I meant, is it necessary if you already have human Reiki? I guess we call it now.
Okay.
Yeah, what's the difference? Why would it affect, why would we need a special one for animals?
Okay. All right. Good question. So with your human Reiki, you can totally give Reiki to animals. You know, you don't have to go on and take animal Reiki. Animal Reiki is a special class that focuses specifically on how to give Reiki to animals, because animals have free will and we need to determine whether or not they want to accept Reiki. And we can't just ask them, you know, do you want Reiki? And, you know, put your paws together once for yes and twice for no. So we have to ascertain whether they want it or not. So in animal Reiki, you learn how to determine a yes or a no from an animal. And then you heighten your observation skills and learn how to determine how the animal is receiving Reiki, if the animal is receiving Reiki, you know, how the animal is responding. And then specific techniques for giving Reiki to animals, because unlike humans, you know, where we place them on the massage table, which I have sitting back there, we don't normally do that. You know, when we give Reiki to animals, if you do it in person, normally the practitioner would go to the animal's home. And first you would get permission from the caregiver. You know, normally the caregiver would have asked you for Reiki for their animal. So that's why you have to have human Reiki first, because you're going to be working with the caregiver too. And then you'll need to tell the caregiver, you know, what they can expect from animal Reiki and what they can't expect. You know, animal Reiki will help to heal trauma and wounds and pain, and it may help with behavior problems, but it's not a substitute for behavioral training, you know, like teaching your animal to, you know, not jump up on people and so forth. So anyway, we are observing the animal, and some signs that the animal is receiving Reiki is the animal may yawn, it may start licking, it may, you know, roll over and take a nap, its eyes may soften, it may, you know, release through urinating or defecating. You know, it may just get very relaxed. Some signs that the animal doesn't want Reiki is it leaves the room. A funny thing that happened in one of my online classes, we were sending Reiki to a herd of hippos, and we asked the hippos if they wanted Reiki, and several, you know, stayed in the screen range, but one turned and ran off screen. So we took that to be a no, that hippo did not want Reiki. And, you know, an animal might want Reiki one day and it might not want it the next day. So the other thing about the animal Reiki is it's its own energy. the people that developed the course, Colleen Benelli, Pamela and LeBlanc, who you saw in my video a moment ago, Robin Benelli and Sue Strong, meditated and worked with the energy over several years. And they were given a new energy specifically for animals. So the energy for animal Reiki is very grounding and soothing. I would say that it's more earth-based energy than our holy fire energy, which feels a little bit more electric and more like consciousness. So the animal Reiki is really good for this human animal. I really like it. And we have a new symbol for it to work with called the Tree of Life, which I like trees a lot. And the animal Reiki also teaches you how to connect with nature. Are any of you nature lovers, tree huggers? You love rocks, stones? Yeah, me too. I collect all kinds of rocks, stones, crystals, precious, semi-precious stones, love them all. So it really helps you learn how to connect with nature more. So, you learn about permission, consent, observation, and then how to give Reiki to animals, because animals move. They don't just lay on a table and relax like humans do. So it's Reiki in motion. You learn about how to just sit there and allow the Reiki energy to flow, and how to create a Reiki zone around you and the animal, that unfolds them. And then also about interacting with the animal. If it's your animal, you just would interact normally. I had one Reiki session where the caregiver thought she wasn't supposed to interact with the animal at all, and then the animal spent the whole time trying to get her attention. We had another session where the caregiver was, petting the animal continuously, and with that, we also weren't able to really determine the animal's reaction because the animal was being engaged with the whole time. So, just working with the caregiver reaction. Sometimes the caregivers will have a release too and start crying or, releasing. We also cover things like how to give Reiki to animals at the vet at end of life, euthanasia, animal Reiki grief practice, for grieving the loss of your beloved pet. And if you're working with someone who has an animal that is nearing the end of their life, what to do, what not to do regarding talking with the caregiver about, plans for natural death or, euthanasia. And also how to have an animal Reiki business if you want to, by learning how to give Reiki to animals at the vet, shelters, online, like sporting events, horse races, farms, animal sanctuaries, and more. So, and then also safety considerations. When I first was going to teach animal Reiki, I thought, oh, I think it'd be really fun to go have a class with horses, and I called several horse places and none of them returned my call. And then I thought about it and I realized I really know nothing about horses. And if I took a bunch of people out to a farm to give Reiki to horses, I don't know really anything about how to keep them safe. And so I realized this is not a good idea, at least at this time. So anyway, I arranged to take the class to a friend's house who has 9 rescue animals, 7 cats and 2 dogs. And then I can also teach the class online, which is super fun. Do any of you all have pets? Yeah. Okay, well, whether you have a pet or not, you can take the class online. And if somebody else has a pet, then you get to work with their pet real time on Zoom. And you also get to stay home with your animal, which is pretty fun. And if you don't have a pet, then you partner with somebody that does have a pet and you get to practice on their pet. And then we also work on webcams. Like live zoo cams, where we've worked on bears in Alaska that are catching salmon, on flamingos, on eagles and sloths, and just all sorts of animals. So it's really fun, doing that live. We get to see what their reaction is as we're giving Reiki to them. So that is super fun. So anyway, those are some of the things that we cover in animal class. So it really takes what you've learned with your regular Reiki 1 and 2 and builds on it for Reiki for animals and for nature. So I know that was a super long answer, Cindy, but do you have any other questions about that?
No, it was good. I do have one question. As you, in the beginning of your talk just now, you mentioned something about the animal Reiki being more grounding, and then you said, did you say using it on humans because it's more grounding?
Yes. Yeah. So you get a new, you get a placement to the new symbol, the tree of life. And I just add that in, I use my Usui Reiki symbols that you learn in Reiki 2. I use the Reiki Master symbols that you get in Reiki Master class. And then I also use my Karuna symbols that you get in Karuna Reiki Master class. And then I end it all, kind of like the caboose on the train with the animal symbol called the tree of life.
I like it. And I'm much more open to it now that I've had I'll tell you a little experience. So I've been doing Reiki for years and good results with humans. And one of my dogs, this was a few months ago, one of my dogs sprained his paw out on a walk. I mean, pretty bad. He was limping, carrying it. I was like, okay, I'll do Reiki on him, right? He would not have it. I mean, he just pulled, and I do massage on this dog. He's used to me touching him. He's used to everything. But when I wanted to try and Reiki that paw, he absolutely did not want it. I thought, maybe I do need animal Reiki.
Sometimes animals will be happy to receive animal Reiki where maybe they're not as good with the human Reiki, but regardless of what you do, you just have to ask permission. And ask the animal, or would you be willing to receive it? So one of the things that I did in Hawaii is there were some sea turtles swimming on the beach in, Waikoloa Beach. And so I asked the sea turtle if it would like Reiki, and one of them seemed not so interested, but the other one was really interested. So I just, held my hands under the water and beamed Reiki to it for a little while, until it kind of swam away. And my girlfriend who had told me where the turtle was, she'd also given it some animal Reiki. Then I swam to a whole nother part of the beach, which was quite a distance down. And my girlfriend and I were in the water talking and playing. There was about 6 feet between us. And the sea turtle came and swam right in between us and stayed there while we gave it some more Reiki.
Wow.
So I thought that was super cool. And I have just been having a blast, like I've been to the Bass Pro Shops and given Reiki to the fish there. I've been to the zoo and given Reiki, I've given Reiki to wild animals. I went to a fish hatchery and gave Reiki to fish and snakes and turtles there. So it's like everywhere I go, it's kind of like a whole new world of, Reiki for the animals and a stronger connection. And I've even been dreaming of getting a dog, which I haven't had a dog since I was a kid. So I am just feeling more connected to animals as a result of it. So I hope your dog ultimately accepted Reiki on another time.
Yes, he has recently, more recently. Yeah, he's had some hip issues and he's been fine with it. So
Good. Okay, and Michaela, am I saying that anywhere close? All right. You'd sent in a question asking about how to give Reiki to your autistic granddaughter.
Yeah, she's 3 years old, and since last 1 year, she is having, I mean, she was detected about when she was 2, and she's having seizures also along with it.
Mm.
So I have done my master's in Reiki also, but like I usually don't practice with people, like only with family members.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't know exactly, like how much connected will I be with her. That's the thing. Because I don't usually practice with people. Nobody wants to take Reiki. So I don't know why. So it's just the family members I do once in a while.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, do her parents agree for her to take Reiki?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. All right, great. So, with the 3-year-old, you can't exactly ask her, but what you can do, you can either do the session distance or in person.
I do distant because she lives in Boston. So I
Okay.
do distant Reiki from here once in a while. Whenever I get a little time, I just, sit down and do for her. So is there any special time or special way or how long?
Mm-hmm. Okay, good questions. So, there's several different ways you can do it. First you would activate all your symbols, your power symbol, your mental emotional symbol, your distance symbol, and you can add in your master symbols.
Yes.
And then you can either take a picture of her, hold a picture in your hands and, give it Reiki, or you can write her name down on a piece of paper and hold it and give it Reiki. Or my favorite
Yeah,
way.
usually I do that. Yeah, but I was just thinking, I mean, like if there's any more suggestions to be.
Sure. My favorite thing is to use a doll or a stuffed animal that's about 18 inches. And, you just, after you activate your symbols, you say, as I give Reiki to this doll, I give Reiki to, and then say the name of your granddaughter. Then you can go ahead and do your Biosin scanning and see what you feel. So if she has seizures, then you're going to feel most likely some staticky energy around her head. Okay, so you want to give Reiki there and really focus there. And then other than that, I don't know where autism would necessarily be located in the body. So you're just going to scan and see where you feel any different energy that is hotter, cooler, thicker, thinner. And you'll scan the front and back. And then you'll just give Reiki there. And if you aren't able to determine anything by scanning, then just start at the head. And one of the cool things about distance Reiki with the doll, you can easily give Reiki to the front and back at the same time and, hold that for a few minutes. We normally suggest that you hold each hand position for at least 3 minutes. And then you can move on down to the throat. Another 3 minutes, give Reiki to the shoulders. You can Reiki the front and back of the heart. And, with the distance session, you can cover more and then move on down, the legs and end with the feet. And your session could be 5 minutes, it could be 15 minutes, it could be 30 minutes, it could be longer.
But should it be given every day or for how long? Because every day it doesn't, I mean, I don't have that much of time to give every day.
Mm-hmm.
So in like alternate days or once in a week, once in a month, how do I give it? She doesn't talk also. She talks only when her parents tell her, sit down, eat this. She'll repeat those words.
Uh-huh.
That's all. She doesn't talk in sentences or anything.
Okay. Well, you could set a goal of giving her Reiki for an hour a week, perhaps, and you could break it up into several shorter sessions. It's really up to you according to your time that you have. That's why we have a goal of having a Reiki practitioner in every family, so that you can give Reiki. Children generally absorb the Reiki energy more quickly than adults and don't need as long of a session. So, even if you did, 10 minutes a day, that would be really good. Just, make it work for you.
Okay. And there's another, my grandson, like if there is something, he doesn't have any health or mental issue, but like if something is, he's not feeling good or something, and I've seen this over years many times. Whenever I give Reiki to him, his condition worsens.
And who is that you said you're
My
giving?
grandson.
Your grandson. And what condition does he have?
Not he doesn't have any, like let's say his fever is high, or like his cough, he has a bad cold and cough. I'm trying to give Reiki to him, and he's throwing up, and then he's about to throw up, and I said, okay, I'll give Reiki to him, and start giving. And then sometimes I have felt that like it is not really helping him, instead it's worsening.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, Reiki does not cause any harm. And,
Yeah.
Sometimes people have more symptoms before things, clear up.
And I was thinking it is my imagination or something. I said, no, it cannot be. It cannot be. I'm telling myself, no, it's not possible. It's not possible.
Mm-hmm.
And many occasions it has happened.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel a little bit hesitant to give him Reiki anymore now, if anything happens.
Okay. Well, just keep in mind that Reiki energy by its very nature does not cause any harm. It cannot make a person better. It can only help. So, whatever he is, his symptoms are, they're not going to be made worse by Reiki. Reiki can only help with, stress, depression, anxiety, pain, healing on all levels. That's what the nature of Reiki energy is.
Thank you.
So, yeah. So how old is he?
He is 6.5 years.
6.5. Okay. Yeah, I'd say just, keep trying it. And, maybe it would be helpful to send him Reiki when he's not ill and see how that goes.
Sure.
And I mean, one of the practices I do is almost daily, I send Reiki to all my family members, and to my close friends. Now, I don't do that.
So how do you do for all the family members? Like there will be so many. You just take everybody's name or what?
So here's what I do. This is my morning practice. I have one of these dolls in my bed, and I'm one of those people that after I wake up, my brain doesn't really function for a while, and I like to use that time to meditate. So I activate my Reiki and all my symbols, and then I lay there in bed and I say, as I give Reiki to this doll, I give Reiki to myself. And then I also add in, I'm going to give Reiki to my brother and sister and my nieces and my daughter and my friend who's got melanoma and my other friend whose boyfriend got shot and killed, and and anybody else that comes to mind. So I'm just using the distance symbol to have Reiki expand and send Reiki to multiple people at once. Okay, and then I'll just start at the head, or sometimes I'll start at the feet and give Reiki. And usually I do that every day for 30 minutes to an hour. And it's a great way for me to start my day. I'll do prayers at that time. I'll listen and meditate, and possibly receive answers to any dilemmas that are currently percolating through my mind. So, every day I'm doing that. Now, on days I teach and have to get up early, it may only be 10 minutes, but for my students, I suggest they start with 10 minutes a day of self Reiki and then work up to more.
So do you also give distant Reiki? Let's say if I ask you to give distant Reiki to her, I mean, like, would you be able to give?
Yes, if, as long as, we've got permission from the person to send Reiki. Yes, I do distance sessions, I do in-person sessions, and I have online scheduling through my website at
Yeah, because I went on your
KarenHarris.net.
website also, and I think I mentioned it about a few months back. I don't know whether you got it or not. I don't know.
Okay, well, if I missed your email, I'm sorry about that.
No, it's fine.
Yeah,
I'll resend it. I'll resend it to you.
okay. All right. Well, on my website, if you go to KarenHarrison.net and then Reiki, and then there's a drop down for schedule a session, and then there's a link to schedule
Okay.
online. But I want you to know that your Reiki is just as good as my Reiki. Okay. So you need to have confidence in yourself and keep trying. And I think it'll help you to develop confidence if you send Reiki at other times other than, just when a person is sick, because sometimes people do get worse symptoms before they get better. That's very common. And then I think you're just using that to try and tell yourself that your Reiki isn't working. And, I don't think that's true.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Good questions. Okay. Does anybody else have any questions? Or do you have any experiences that you would like to share that you've had with Reiki?
I did have an experience just the other day.
Okay.
So I tried crystals, and my fiance, she was having cramps, and so I tried moonstone. And this is going to sound really out there, but my hands started buzzing. Like I really felt something. I'm trying to believe in myself more. I'm like, if the person doesn't believe, I'll still believe in it and have intent. And I've also tried with other people, and I've noticed that stones amplify the effects a lot. So that's a big thing that I've been starting to use now. This crystals or anything. Say like if it's a third eye, I'd use a third eye crystal or labradorite. And I've noticed that starts to, it does make a difference.
Yes, that doesn't sound out there to me at all. That sounds, very normal. So yeah, Reiki combines with many modalities, and using crystals is great. There's different crystal classes that you can take. If you go to reikiclasses.com, they occasionally offer Reiki crystal classes. They're located in Sedona, Arizona, and they're some of the licensed teachers through the International Center for Reiki Training. But there's other places that you can study and other things you can incorporate, depending on what you like essential oils, or tuning forks, or crystal bowls, or singing bowls, the metal singing bowls, or many other things. You can combine Reiki with many modalities like acupuncture and naturopathy and even, your job as an accountant. Okay, well, that's cool. Well, your girlfriend is blessed that she has you to help her.
Oh, she wants it like every day now. I try, but it's good practice. I've gotten up to 20 minutes now with a lot of concentration and practice.
Well, that's wonderful. And weren't you also offering some Reiki sessions over Etsy?
I'm trying to figure out the business process because I'd like to start that. I noticed you can't do it from home, or is that only like if you have physical people or physical clients or clients when they come in? I think that's the issue. So I'm trying to figure out how to do it online through the Kansas business license, because I have it in Texas. You can do it in Texas pretty easily, but here I'm trying to figure out the steps how to do that. I'm not sure if I get like a direction to go or who to talk to.
Okay. So you can absolutely do sessions online for people, you
Mhm.
know, anywhere. That's not a problem.
Okay.
If you want to offer sessions in your home, in Kansas, it's normally regulated by the city, you know, because there's no state law that regulates Reiki at all.
Okay.
So you could check with your city and, you know, see what they allow. You know,
Okay.
generally, if people are just doing, you know, maybe a couple sessions a week, you know, out of their home, it's not a problem. You
Mm.
know, if they're wanting to have a number of in-person sessions in their home, then you really need to be checking to make sure that it's okay with the city and also with the homeowners association if you live in a, you know, a subdivision that has a homeowners,
Okay.
you know, to see what the rules and regulations are.
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you. Now I'm definitely going to start getting into it, because I think I'm seeing results with people that I've tried with online. Like there was a Discord, and I practiced with them, and they've said they've noticed things happening or things change. So I think I might want to start getting into the business aspect though.
Well, wonderful. Well, my colleague Pamela LeBlanc wrote the Reiki business book, and I recommend that book. You can get it on Amazon. And she talks about many different ways to have a Reiki business. So,
Okay.
you know, that would be great information
Cool. Thank you.
for you. And, you know, after I move, one of my goals is to have a group where we would go through that book, you know, chapter by chapter and discuss it. So, okay, well, we are out of time. I just want to thank you all for joining me tonight for talking about Mrs. Takata and my trip to Hilo, Hawaii. So, Dolores, who knew that you had her original clinic right in your hometown? That is so cool.
About probably 10 minutes from my house.
Yeah, well, if you know, go over there and visit, let me know what you think.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be fun. Okay, well, the Reiki Call podcast comes out the third Monday of the month. And if you have ideas of what you would like to hear about, let me know. Or, you know, if you would like to share about some topic, let me know that too, because I'm always looking for interesting things to have on my Reiki Call. So thank you all. Hugs and blessings, and
Thank you.
join us for Reiki Circle. It's online on the second Monday of the month on Zoom, and in person in Kansas City on the fourth Monday of the month. Okay. Thank you. See you next time.
Thank you. Thank you.